Hello, my name's Adam Stanchek, and this is my Thursday movie review. Okay, Rough Cuts, I was going to do the entire review from Minecraftia, but I figured that wasn't going to work out well, because I'd be too distracted. But this week I'm going to review two movies, kind of compare and contrast them. Last week I talked about Shaolin Soccer. This week I wanted to talk about Kung Fu Hustle, which is like the next one in the series. Even though it's not a sequel, it's a different plotline, but it's made by Stephen Chow. And it's another Kung Fu comedy movie. I rewatched it, and I really enjoy it. I think it's the better of the two, but I wanted to compare Kung Fu Hustle to Kung Pao Enter the Fist. They're both comedy Kung Fu movies. Now, the difference between Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer is that Kung Fu Hustle actually more focuses on the fighting. It's basically about the story of a small town of people who they have like some cool Kung Fu masters hanging out there that you don't really know they're there, but, you know, whatever, I'm not ruining anything. And then a gang, I think called the Axe Gang, that come and like try to chop them up, because they're just like a bunch of extortionists and assholes. And, come to find out that there's actually Kung Fu masters hanging out there who are going to kick the crap out of them. It's a cool story. There's a lot of character development and character growth in this. In fact, Stephen Chow acts in this one like how he acted in the last one that he did. But he plays like an antagonist first, and you kind of see his character develop, and you can kind of see it's coming. But it's still kind of a cool little story. I like you actually get to see some cool fighting in that movie. And it's all comical. Like, a lot of it reminds me of like Looney Tunes stuff. But still, there's a lot of really cool fighting in that movie. Now, Kung Pao, Enter the Fist, it was an old movie that this guy named Steve Odekirk, he took this old movie and dubbed over it with his own voice. And you're going to think, I mean, if you haven't heard of it, you're going to think I'm talking about like Mystery Theater Science 9001. But he like also like digitally puts his face over the character and does like a lot of digital enhancements and a lot of editing comedy. And it's actually, out of all the videos like this, it's probably the best that I've seen. A lot of it is stupid, but a lot of it is actually pretty funny. The things I find the funniest are the things that probably took the least amount of work in this video. The things that I find the least funny, there's a scene where like he fights a cow that's like the whole thing is not from the original thing. It's him walking in a field and there's like a CG cow. And, I mean, like, I think the movie was done in, like, 2001 or something. It's after The Matrix, because there's, like, Matrix references into it. But, yeah, the fighting the cow scene is kind of silly, but, like, whatever. The whole thing is kind of silly. But the funniest things to me are just, like, where they seem to have, like, the characters that they make up for the people that they're voicing over. And I think it's all this Steve doing all the voices. There's the main chick. It's like a lot of times she doesn't have anything to say, so he just makes her like repeat the same thing over and over again. And sometimes even that, her mouth is moving way too much, so he just makes her make just noises, because it's like the dialogue he's invented for it. Like there's way too much, and instead of cutting it down, he just fills it with like wee 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 wah. And I know that's stupid, but I find it really funny. And he even does that with a lot of the other characters. The things that both of these movies have in common is there a lot of slapstick humor, where it's, you know, the fighting style where people get hit in the nuts and stuff, and just like that kind of really slapstick, but it's still funny. I mean, it's funny to take a genre like Kung Fu and make a Kung Fu comedy, but these are both two pretty good examples of it. I feel like everybody has seen Kung Pao, but maybe not, because to me it's like a cult classic, but I guess there's possibly people who haven't seen it. And like, if you're Bobble Rob and you haven't seen this, then what the hell is your problem, Bobble Rob? Because this is you, man. The dude that takes... The dude, Steve Odekirk, he did a whole series of videos like that were like thumb themed, and I always heard of these, but maybe you guys didn't, where he just does like a parody of a movie with like thumbs playing all the character, like Thumb Wars is probably one of them, I assume. Like Thumbtanic, like Titanic, but like he puts like little faces on the thumb, like animated, like takes your mouth and eyes and puts it on it, like how Rob puts his mouth over stuff. And I mean, it's all pretty dumb, and I never watched the parodies, but he did the same kind of technology in this. He had like his tongue had a face on it in Kung Pao Enter the Fist. And I don't know, some of it is kind of funny. Like if the dude made YouTube videos, I'd watch him, because he's funny, but he's actually too big now. He like produces stuff still, and I think he wrote Bruce Almighty and produced Evan Almighty, and I think he even had a writing credit on Cowboys and Aliens. Like, so he's still a dude who does stuff, but like back before he was anything, he made these little thumb movies, and he did this Kung Pao movie. So there's that. Stephen Chow's a different guy. Was it too disjointed to kind of talk about two movies at the same time? I didn't feel like I had enough to say. These are both good movies, comedy kung fu's. I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head that fits in that other than like Beverly Hills Ninja, comedy kung fu. So Kung Pao actually had real kung fu movie footage, but it was edited in ways that made it pretty funny. Kung Fu Hustle was all original content, but it was funny in itself, and it's silly. And I don't know, Kung Fu Hustle had some moments that actually that still like they were kind of powerful, even though it's a silly movie. Like there's just some powerful moments, and so that's just a good movie other than the comedy. But even though it is really silly and comedical, so that's it, guys. So 2 movies, 1 review. There you go.